Incoming transmission from an unknown source. It seems to be urgent. Patching them through. They're calling themselves the HoloNet Marauders.
Welcome back to the HoloNet Marauders podcast. I'm AJ, joined here by my battery's running low.
Dude, I don't know if this happened for everyone else, but you came in and first of all you were muted, and when you unmuted you went thumbs up and you went you didn't say hey everybody, or at least I didn't hear it.
It was a little bit cut off at the beginning.
The viewers and listeners will find out. I don't know what happened. Sometime in the next few minutes I have to plug my computer in because we were playing games with it the other day and unplugged it. So I'm AJ, joined here by the Bombad Batch. I haven't thought of a better nickname than that so far. Jamie, Matt, and Jack. How are you guys doing?
Mileage. Good.
Good.
I almost said Jacques.
Jacques Hammer.
You've never called him the Jacques in your entire life. And
I said Jack.
Bonjour.
Voilà.
Yes, clean.
No.
Oh no, I froze now.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Oh,
there you go.
All right, you guys take over talking about this amazing finale. I thought it was an amazing finale. We'll get into that. I'm gonna grab my thing and you guys talk amongst yourself.
Wow.
Okay, so this was a great start.
What a start.
Oh yeah,
what a
great start.
Rock and rolling. Yeah, so
So what is this? So this is our Ahsoka season 1 finale recap. Actually, that's what this episode is. Before we jump into it, this is an episode that will be released in the future. We recorded it in private around the time of when the episode first dropped, but due to the strikes, we're waiting to release it. But without further ado,
hopefully is at the table right now, so fingers crossed that
soon.
Gets resolved and we can release these.
Got a lot of stuff we want to talk about here, but we'll wait. But we'll record it right now. Oh, good, you're back, because all we covered was that we're talking about the show.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that's literally it. So
all we said was that we're releasing this one in the future.
Yeah,
congratulations.
If you're listening or watching,
to this,
you're in the future.
You're in the future. Yeah.
Oh,
congratulations.
Which is usually the case anytime we record anything. So nice.
But further in the future.
Unless we're doing live.
You're like
streams.
extra future today. So congrats there.
So
future. Sorry.
The finale.
Switch to
the finale.
The finale.
Part 8, directed by Rick Famuyiwa, the GOAT himself, the legend, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord.
The Warlord. Oh god. What a start.
Very Narnia title. I feel like
is not afraid.
I feel like they honestly they had all these cool titles all year, and this one's cool, but I feel like they got to the finale and they're like, you know what, just call it this. Like,
what was that?
We ran out of names.
Book. That's the one.
Yeah, we're done with lore. We're done with Tolkien. Let's go on to C.S. Lewis. We're moving on.
Oh no, we're not done with Tolkien.
No,
we are not done with
Tolkien. Started.
Not at all.
But we're done with Tolkien in terms of titles, because there were a couple of Lord of the Rings-esque titles early on, but now we're getting Narnia titles.
Narnia. So you'll have to remind me how exactly this episode kicks off, because as I said to you guys, I'm going in with no notes. I got no notes.
This is a big deal.
First thing I really remember was the whole thing with Morgan. Is that how it opened? With Morgan getting the sword?
No.
And her getting
That happened later. I'm pretty sure this episode opened with Ezra and Hu Yang shooting the shit.
Well, yeah.
Didn't it start with him building the lightsaber?
It did, and this was a funny detail I noticed was the T6 shuttle, Hu Yang and Ahsoka's ship, was hovering very slowly above the Nodi traveling.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of in The Last Jedi when Kylo's shuttle is very, very on cruise control slowly over the walkers going on crate. It looked like the same thing.
I love that. That's great.
Definitely not a parallel they were going for, but I
probably not.
So.
Unless the Nodi is supposed to represent the walkers.
Yeah.
You guys are reaching. I'm gonna get it out of the way since I brought it up immediately. But it's the scene with Hu Yang and Ezra. And Ezra is building his lightsaber. I have a question. Where did Ezra get the lightsaber crystal? But that's a different story.
I was
Hu Yang probably had those lying around. He's a lightsaber builder.
He just had one, and I just
normally a Jedi takes a long path and goes to Ilum or Jedi, but you know what? I got a couple lying around here, so there you go.
If
I
that
love.
shit blew up, it'd be a nuke.
Oh my god!
It had kyber crystals on it.
That's a good
Two
point.
things. I love David Tennant as Hu Yang, and I
Mhm.
love Iman as Ezra. And I'm not even kidding. The scene, Hu Yang giving Ezra the same lightsaber emitter that Caleb Doom used. That is like literally my favorite moment in this entire show.
It was
That
great.
really special.
Like,
Yep.
We were waiting.
There-
we were all
there
waiting
was-
for that.
there's like a moment in which like Ezra's like looking through all the drawers and like insulting him, and it's great. But he had like a similar one, and then Hu Yang's like, "Oh, who's your master? Aha, I got you." And like it was just
And that was the thing that Ezra was looking for the whole time. That makes it even better that they were
I
on
gotta
the
s-
same page, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you want Caleb Doom's lightsaber
Yeah.
emitter."
because
gets
like
it
Hu
for
Yang.
Kanan.
Hu
I don't
Yang-
know Kanan. I know
Yeah,
Kanan.
he did. He said Kanan Jarrus, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, Kanan Jarrus," and I'm like, "You don't know him as Kanan Jarrus."
Well, hey,
He
but
said earlier.
he knows the records. Though,
He said
so it worked
to
out.
It's true.
Carson Teva when they were talking about Jason. I think he mentioned him as Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's when they talked about.
He's well educated on
Kanan.
the subject.
I'm
Look,
surprised Hu
I-
Yang didn't know though, because you think Ahsoka would be like, "Oh yeah, there's this guy Ezra," and Hu Yang wouldn't have been like, "Oh, who's Ezra?"
Yeah, he knows Caleb's fake
Right.
name, but he doesn't know that Ezra was his apprentice. So
Interesting.
Very good point. I will
was Kanan
say,
just writing him letters and then just stopped one day when he got Ezra as apprentice, and he was like, "Oh, guess Kanan's done." I think that's probably it.
Hu Yang's little eye lids are just doing more and more work every time. Like that bit where was like Ezra's knocking on him for having a mess. He's like, "I have a system." I was just- I can't
I
tell you
know.
how many times
You have
Abby
a
rags on
method.
me for
Like-
having a messy craft room, and she's not wrong. I know
It
where
was-
everything is,
It
even if
was
it's
all
on
just
the floor.
perfect though, because like Ezra's a chaotic mess when it comes to like the scrapping and fixing things anyway, and so like he knows exactly what he's looking for. And Hu Yang is like, "I can help you," and Ezra's like, "No, no, no, I got this," because that's also perfectly Ezra. Yeah, it's just it was so perfect. And I started the episode crying, okay, and then I got better.
Iman Esfandi is just doing so much good work as
He
it's
is
incredible.
He's
how,
like the perfect Ezra. Perfect.
we all
Ezra.
joked like, yeah, let's just have Aladdin play Space Aladdin, but like, oh my god, no, yeah, this is how
Jack,
you do it.
Guess what?
This
Yeah.
guy
He-
didn't play Aladdin in the live
he
action.
was
He
not
wasn't. Oh my
Aladdin.
god, have they done this again?
That's Mina Musad, who was
That was-
rumored to be playing.
He was rumored to be
Ezra.
Ezra.
Oh, I must have just
ever.
the rumor must have stuck so long that I just was
Yeah.
like, yeah, same guy.
Mina
Damn it.
Masood,
Okay.
Mina Musad. I forget which.
Sorry,
They
Mina.
got you again.
That happens to me all the time, and I should know better.
But yeah, it happened to me
well,
also,
to
but-
change subject, it actually the episode did start with Thrawn and what's her face,
Morgan.
Morgan. Thank you.
So you guys all thought I was nuts. He said that happened later.
yeah,
The
like it's
sword
Well,
was the
the-
first thing.
The
no,
transformation.
not the sword. The Gift
ceremony.
of Shadows was the first thing. Yeah, which was so
They didn't give her
cool.
the sword at the same time they gave her the Gift of Shadows. Wow. I only saw this
I thought
last
they
night.
did.
Oh no, it was. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, sword too. Sorry, I'm like quickly scrolling.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
was the beginning. So we're
So that
crazy.
was
sword
the first
scene,
thing?
sword scene, and then Ezra and
They start the
and Hu
episodes
Yang.
with the juicy part.
the Jews.
just like front loading all the Clone Wars fan service right away.
Not-
Dude,
Honestly,
the sword of
Witchcraft juice.
Talzin.
That's
the
not the sword of
that was
Talzin.
awesome.
I feel like I was in a fugue state the moment I saw Kanan's like lightsaber emitter. The rest of the episode, fugue state. What actually happened? I don't.
Oh,
I
the
don't
witch stuff
remember.
was
I don't
awesome.
blame
though.
kidding.
you.
Come
I
on.
was
I'm
almost
kidding.
crying.
I did love
I'm
the
kidding.
witch stuff. The witch
But
stuff
like,
is so
can't remember
good.
the order.
I can't believe last night we were talking. AJ was texting us. He's like, I don't know about Thrawn as a threat because he doesn't have any dark side users on his side anymore. And I'm like, he's got the
Listen.
mother of witches, the mothers of all witches on
Not
his
enough.
side.
He's got
That's
the
a big
Nolans on his
deal.
side.
Hey, spoiler: Thrawn loses.
He does not
Does
lose.
he though? I don't think he
He
loses.
doesn't
my man.
lose.
What
How
do you mean
does
he
he
doesn't
lose?
lose?
How does
Not in-
he
He's
win?
gonna lose.
Thrawn doesn't even
Oh,
need to do a
yeah.
Thrawn level spin on this to show you that he won in the end of this season. Like this was an Empire Strikes Back kind of deal, if you ask me. Like,
Oh no, I'm
He's gonna-
saying
he's gonna
ultimately Thrawn
lose at
is
the
gonna
end.
lose.
oh
And I mean,
yeah. And I
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what I was talking about last episode of the podcast. Like we're dealing with some prequel syndrome here because the sequels
yeah.
already happened. So
Where
it's
we know
just
it's
like, well,
going.
we know the Empire's not coming back, or like If it is, it's very short-lived.
Maybe they'll send Thrawn to another galaxy again.
Ooh,
Like, hey, you're
and then
not.
he comes back in Ray's
First
movie.
time, joke's on you.
It'll be wild.
He comes back as like a
Never mind.
floating
It's
head
totally
in a
off
jar.
topic.
He's like 130 years old, and he's like,
And that's the Rey movie.
Jesus. That's the Rey movie.
God.
I'm looking forward to it.
He's like MODOK, but Thrawn. Like,
Oh, I have
Yes.
thoughts about the Rey movie in conjunction with
Thrawn,
we get to,
that's
we get
later.
to see Thrawn's little blue butt cheeks, just like we saw MODOK's butt cheeks in the movie. Is that what we're gonna get to see? Because I'm
you
down.
wish.
I'm ready. I do wish.
Well, there was only one set of
Unapologetically.
cheeks I was expecting to see, and it wasn't Thrawn's. Okay.
Man, this took a turn.
That could be anybody, but
Uh,
is it the notice?
so-
All right.
So yeah, I loved everything with the Night Sisters
Oh, it was
and
awesome.
the Night Mothers.
The burning of
And-
that
and-
face and everything.
That was very, very cool. And it's small, but I love how all the noises were the same as obviously it was in the Clone Wars, but also what they used in like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order from Marin. Like I loved all of that, and everything it was just perfect. I loved seeing that in live action.
I
Yeah.
really love that this show did this. Like Cal, he like firmly believes he's like the only Jedi left. Like he doesn't really know any other Jedi are alive. And it's the same with Merrin. She like firmly believes that she's the only Night Sister and there are no other Night Sisters out there. And it's like really funny that like these games exist in like this little pocket world where we know they're not the only ones, but they operate as if they are the only ones. I think that's a clever twist on like how to get around the fact that there are multiple survivors in terms of like the Jedi Purge or the Night Sisters Purge, but the characters don't have to know that.
I'm curious to find out where Morgan Elsbeth came from.
I know, because she doesn't
because-
seem very...
I think that
Night
the biggest
Sister-y.
thing is she looks very human.
Yeah.
First off, she doesn't have like the stereotypical like Night Sister.
She doesn't come
Pale.
across as like a Dathomirian.
Yeah, so like I want to know where she came from and like how she has this ability in the first place in order to communicate with them and then to receive the gifts.
Maybe she's like a Night Sister foundling.
I figured she
There you
just
go.
was by blood was related because she's kind of pale in the same way, has the white hair. So
Yeah, that's a
right?
good point.
Doesn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, she's a
making
little
that up right
it's-
now?
pale.
yeah.
like
Pale-ish.
just
Like
in
the tattoo.
bloodline, didn't have the culture behind her, but like had that innate sense that comes with that bloodline. And
Yeah, I just wish that they were like, oh yeah, they actually like. I hope that gets fleshed out in a comic
I was about
or
to
a
say,
book.
I'm sure we're going to get a book or a comic about that. I'm sure we're going to get a book or comic about
I
Balin
love
and
that.
Shin when Dave
Yeah.
Filoni, releases his ironclad grip on every character he's created. So actually, maybe not. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. Depends.
What if Filoni
But yeah,
wrote
that
a
is a
book?
good question.
What if Filoni wrote a book?
He doesn't have time for that. He's writing like movies and shows and
Come on.
all that jazz.
come on.
He's got
So,
cowboy hats to buy. He doesn't have time to write books.
what'd you guys think of the Sword of Talzin? That was pretty epic.
That's
That was
definitely
really
not
cool.
like Tulzin's sword from the Clone Wars, because then I have so many questions about how the hell that got from one universe to one galaxy to another.
It
Magic.
materialized out of thin air.
Magic.
What do you need
Oh,
to know?
fair
It was
enough.
magic.
Okay,
it
never
literally just like they
Yeah,
they,
you're right.
They just materialized it. They
That's a good power, you know.
from
It's
magic
one
it
of
is a
comes,
good
from
power.
magic it goes. Like
I
Pulling
wonder if
swords
it's like
out of
something
your
you can
butt.
only do with something like that, like a Night Sister relic, or like if you could like just grab a cup of calf from the counter, like.
I'm assuming the former, though.
Right.
Like Night Sister magic goes pretty hard. Like when the stuff we see in Survivor, like Marin do in Survivor, is like pretty wild stuff. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, the freaking teleporting roller coaster was pretty wild for sure.
teleporting
Yeah,
roller
teleporting.
coasters is
Oh,
pretty
shoot,
crazy.
you know,
that's what it was.
Ah man, if only I could throw a little spoiler warning in that one.
The game's been out for like half a year. I think it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah. It's just a
If you're-
tease.
I'm
Yeah.
always looking out for the lazy folks.
play Jedi
Always.
Survivor. It's very
Yeah,
worth it.
play Jedi. It's great.
It's fantastic.
It's
Yeah, you got to play it.
It's fine. It's
So
fantastic.
so
Anyway,
in this show, in this show, in
in this
Ahsoka,
show.
Ahsoka.
I am always so amused at Thrawn just being like, like
Oh,
just
Dude,
his-
there are
When he breaks.
the Thraws. I just want to say the Thrawn pause or the Thraws just has me rolling every time it happens because it's not. Oh my god, he pauses for like
It's-
15 seconds
it's
It's
They'll
so
even
ask him a
funnier in live
question.
action.
and he'll just sit there and he'll go,
He's thinking. He's plotting.
It takes work to
If
be
you're
cold and
listening, Matt-
calculating.
Fighters.
Listen,
Matt
the
is doing-
calculating part takes a while.
It's just so funny to me. Like
Send out 2 TIE fighters.
he literally gets like a report, and like Enoch like gives him a report, and they're like, "All right, let's look at the map," and it's like,
Can you
like
confirm
rolls
this?
open, and then he's just like, It's just like that's what Thrawn like is from like at least from like what we've received visual media and like animation. I can't speak to the books because I've only read half of one of them, but like it just makes me laugh. I can't
imagine
help it.
putting
It
the
just makes me laugh.
pause in the book.
He's come.
It's just
Page.
like it literally, like it's a whole page of just like ellipses, and then,
I had
and then
read-
you flip the pages like send out 2 TIE fighters.
Thrawn always like reminded me of Tywin Lannister because I had read the Game of Thrones book so many times
That's a
by the
good
time
one.
I sat down and picked up the original Zahn trilogy and the Zahn Thrawn trilogy. And so I was like, just seeing this cold and calculating guy who's willing to just let other people flap their mouths unto then, give his point, be like, hold on, here's why you're wrong. Like, was always so satisfying to read. And Filoni's never quite mastered it. So, I mean,
see a lot of people complaining, or not complaining, but saying that like this Thrawn isn't as good as Zahn's Thrawn.
yeah, but like I'm fine with that. Like it's hard to replicate the original as we've seen many times, and I still really like this interpretation, and I still am just happy to see the character hit a wider audience because he's so cool, and like he's not just mustache twirling. Like he's like it's hard to explain.
No, I guess
He's not like the Joker.
Yeah,
He's
I
like,
like
like 10 steps ahead, but not in the Joker kind of way,
Yeah.
I really liked. I mean, I guess we'll save this for the end, but I will say I liked the twist that his like entire plan was hinging on Ahsoka acting like Anakin, and since he knows Anakin, which should comfort everybody who was like, Filoni's just going to ignore the books. He's just going to ignore all the novels that Zahn wrote because this Thrawn is so different. But we have we have something that was directly in the books being referenced and playing an actually big part in the show. So I was very happy about that. Very satisfied with that.
Yeah. So, to my knowledge, do you, and I saw someone mention this, and it kind of goes off what Matt was saying about Thrawn, and they were saying like they didn't like Thrawn's motives in this because, and once again, just like Jamie, like I haven't really read the original Zahn Thrawn stuff. We all got to say Zahn Thrawn. So
it sounds good, right? It's fun.
he
Zahn
wasn't he
Thrawn.
like not, he was really more for himself in that, and like he didn't really care about the old empire. Like he was
for the chist.
Whereas this Thrawn is like
yeah.
for the empire. And
Yeah,
We don't
he's
know that,
literally
though.
like saying for the empire. Although he's also saying like for, I forget if he says like stability
For
or
me.
like control of the galaxy or something like that. Like it seems like he's more interested in stabilizing the galaxy, kind of like the galaxy has gone from Republic to Empire down to New Republic. Like everybody's, switching hands. But if I'm in control, I'm just going to keep everything the same so we can actually like build forces. Because his whole thing is that he's afraid of the Grisk. And I know a lot of people were building up to be like, oh yeah, Thrawn and Ezra are actually, in league to team up against the actual threat in the unknown regions, which is the
that
Grisk.
was a theory.
And I was like, first of all, that was just a pipe dream. Like, I don't know why people got it in their heads so strongly that that was going to happen. You don't have to reference the books, or you don't have to know that Filoni doesn't reference the books to also know that that's not going to happen. Even if he did like heavily draw from the books, that just wasn't going to happen.
In the original trilogy, he was like trying to like reshape the empire in his own image, like saying like he always would talk to Pelion about the ways that the empire misunderstood or words are escaping me today, but like the way that they would always underestimate the heroes of the rebellion and everything. Like he would always like point out, oh well, see, this is why they'd always screw up here, because they would do this, and see here we're going to do this instead. And like just the way he'd always point out those contrasts between how they did things, and he was always like, yeah, we're going to do Empire but better. And that's what I feel like we're getting here. I do think that he's kind of lost his way truly as a character in terms of like his arc, because like when he joined the Empire, like Matt said, it was just to at least in the new canon. I don't remember if the Grisk were part of the old canon.
No,
not at all.
No.
But yeah, like that was his reason for getting involved, and it was a sacrifice because he knew that they were the most powerful force that he could align with to get a one-up on the Grisk, and then now he's just so wrapped up in the system.
From no knowledge, next to no knowledge of the books, I feel like Thrawn is just saying "Long live the Empire" just so he can get back there and cover his own ass.
Well,
Sure.
and that
and
just
then
kind
he's
of
gonna go do his.
That kind of just
I
seems
know,
to be
it's-
the phrase of the Imperial remnants in this era, anyways.
Yeah, because
They
he's
just-
gonna go on and like, because like again, like kind of like you said, like he's kind of a little bit like in too deep anyway. So like he'll go on and seek out like the remnant to like do everything, but like we don't know what his goal is really.
Fascism only works if you have a fanatic loyalty amongst especially your highest rank. Like you don't really need that from the civilians as much, but it helps. But it helps when your military and all the people who run that military are like fanatically like behind you, and so you gotta play the ball. You gotta play ball. You know, when it comes to things, you gotta work that grease when it comes to the Imperial side of things. But yeah, Empire, love that Empire. Yeah, great.
I really wish
Empire Day.
Ooh, yeah.
Gideon.
Oh, glory!
I really
our
wish
glorious masters or whatever Kanan says. I love that. I love that scene.
I really wish Gideon wasn't dead, and I know probably one of his greased up deaf guy clones is running around out there. Family Guy reference. So, but my thing I wanted all along was, don't even get me started with Gideon. Like he could have been, and I remember Jack at one point, like maybe season 2 Amando when we would talk, like you loved Gideon. You thought his like villainry was just like
he's
so
a mustache
good.
twirler.
He is,
Yeah,
and I
he
think
is the mustache
he could have been a good opposer or like power struggle guy to Thrawn. And I always hoped Gideon would be like, oh, Thrawn's not coming. Like this is my galaxy now. This is my remnant. I'm the warlord.
He wanted
Yeah,
that.
he was like,
and then-
But then
let
go
me.
ahead, go ahead,
I
go
talk.
ahead.
I talk
Go
in
ahead.
weird segments. Let me finish. Guys
Where
are
you
always
going
cutting me
with
off.
this?
I was really hoping Thrawn would show up and just be like, "Listen, chump, this is mine," and just like kill him. Like I wish Thrawn killed Gideon. Yeah, but
I don't know if that would be super satisfying for our heroes to not kill Gideon. Like I'm always weary
their
about villains
main
killing other
conflict.
villains.
there's always a bigger fish.
I
mean-
mean, there can be like a side arc of whatever the next show could be of Thrawn sending out people just to hunt down Gideon clones.
No,
Would that
no,
make
in
you
fact,
happy? Would that
think
be?
that's-
No,
I
it would
think
not.
Thrawn killing a dissenter in his ranks is so anti-Thrawn that I'm actually going to say I personally don't think that's something he would ever do, because like he would look at Vader and criticize his wanton habit of choking out anyone
Always
who
killing people,
would piss him
yeah.
off. He's like, man, wasting resources. Basically, it was what it boiled down to. It's just like this is not how you do things. This is not how you lead. Not through fear. People gotta respect you.
This man
And like he's
has-
achieved that. When we see him, they're like, Thrawn. They didn't need
It's
to
true.
do that, but they did.
That
He's
was
got cool
odd.
Mando armor and he's got a million clones. Why kill him? You could use him.
They're all dead. They're
I know.
probably not all dead.
I
They're
want to.
I'm glad-
I don't know.
I'm
It's
glad
kinda
that
like
we.
Chekhov's gun. You don't introduce clones if you're not gonna like have a clone show up and be like, "I'm a clone."
You'd
But
think,
whatever.
Yeah,
but there was a lot of things
it-
in Mando 3 that were. I'm glad I brought up
Yeah,
Mando
Mando
3 because
free finale.
this was such an amazing finale. I think compared to the Mando 3 finale,
I liked the Mando 3 finale.
I thought it
I'd
was
stand
very
by it.
not super well done. That's just my opinion. I liked season 3. It was fine. I enjoyed it.
the Mando season 3 finale was like my favorite sandwich at a fast food restaurant. Like no matter how great that tastes, I'm gonna feel horrible after I finish.
That's very well.
About where
put.
I'm at with season 3.
I just thought the tail end of that season, and we have our thoughts on that already out there now. But like the more I look at that, I'm like they really rushed a lot of those storylines, and it's fine.
I tend to pinpoint like I'm a moments guy. Like if there's certain moments that I really like I love Grogu protecting Bo and Din. I think that is like one of the best moments in the entire Mando show for me. Like one of my favorites.
when he does
That's
it
so
for the
cool.
millionth time.
But this time it's like that's like a big deal. Like that's huge.
You
Like
know what
it's a
else was
giant explosion.
You know what else was a big
So was
deal?
the first time.
Sabine suddenly showing force sensitivity in this episode after
That
they're
was a
like,
big
Sabine,
deal.
use the force to open the door, and like she like couldn't do it, and then she can do it
Yeah,
in the
that was
next
odd.
shot. And I thought that they should have switched those instances, but
Yeah, that was weird.
What?
So-
it was very quick. It was night and day. And like I know it was like life or death, but it was very quick. What are your thoughts?
I do have thoughts on this. I'm sure we're all in the similar thing. I already know what Matt's gonna say. Matt's gonna have no issue with anything, as always.
I have no issue with it.
I don't have an issue with it either.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I think grabbing the lightsaber was awesome. Very predictable. Yes. We all knew it was happening. Very similar to the Rey moment of when Rey grabs the lightsaber, whatever. Very cool.
Yep.
But her throwing Ezra like 300, 400 yards, we don't know, like through the air. I'm like, that was a bit much. But I'm not going to be one of the basement nerds that I'm sure is out there today sweating about it, yelling about it, because it's Star Wars, it's fantasy. Would I have written it that way? Filoni's a way better writer than I am, but like, of course. But like, I just thought that was a little strange. Like she just learned to use the Force 2 seconds ago, or used it for the first time, and then just.
I mean,
to talk about symbolism and themes. Can I take a moment to talk about?
You could talk about symbolism and themes, but like, there's also.
We should have a whole episode on mythology.
Yes, he talked.
Which you should go watch if you haven't already. Whenever
I talked for 5 minutes. Again.
I will summarize quickly. I'll talk about this more later when we get to the part. But obviously, I loved Sabine's arc in this episode. I loved the completion of Sabine's arc. I thought her pushing Ezra away was incredibly symbolic because this is the first real powerful Force move we see her use, and she's using it to let go of Ezra. And in my mythology episode, if you know, I said that the biggest, most important theme in all of Star Wars is letting go. And every time we see one of our characters like turn into a Force ghost or just basically like ascend to like the next plane, like in this show, Ahsoka does it, Obi-Wan does it in his show, Luke does it in the original trilogy, and then again in The Last Jedi, we see characters letting go. And that's like, and this was like the entirety of Sabine's arc was about how she was just totally, completely attached to Ezra. And this was the moment when she was like letting him go, pushing him to the ship, deciding to save Ahsoka. And I think that works really well with the manifestation of her Force powers in that same kind of moment. So personally, that's why I don't have a problem with it, because it works really well thematically.
But what about for like Star Wars rules wise? Like, of course, the Star Wars is great.
I have always been a big proponent of I've never been a stickler for training. Never. I've always been a big proponent of if you believe hard enough, or if you're getting choked or drowned, you can use the Force. Especially with Sabine, who has been continually trying to bring her Force powers out over the course of the entire episode and really training hard to put herself in that mindset. Because using the Force is all about mind, right? I mean, that's Yoda's lesson to Luke is not about, you didn't do the push-ups I told you to do. It's you don't think you can lift the X-Wing, so you can't lift the X-Wing. And it's the same thing with Sabine. In that moment, she's letting go of Ezra. She's in the right spot to kind of just blank out. She's let go of everything around her. The Force is with her entirely. And that's kind of, again, that's like, that's fine with me. Like, I could never see like Han Solo doing that. Could you ever see Han Solo like letting go of his mind and be like, "Ooh, I'm one with the Force now. Let me."
Oh yeah, as a person, he hates that shit. Like,
yeah, no way, he would never do that.
Out of character for him. Yeah, no,
it's all about mindset.
And I think that's the problem with midichlorians and George even thinking to introduce that stupid concept in the first place, because he wanted a way for people to know that Anakin was so special without just having everyone tell us that. And it still amounts to people telling us just with some sort of like factual made up data. But now it's also ruined the mysticism of Star Wars. And it's created this thing where like people now truly like and I think there's some precedent to it, because George seemed to change his mind at that moment. People thinking like, no, if you don't have the midichlorians to do it, you can't do it. Like you can't tap it. If you're not a Force user from birth, you can't do it. But no, I think I prefer the feeling of like, hey, I'm either gifted, like any talent, you're either gifted at it innately, and you just have that like higher plateau to begin with, the higher foundation, and you just work from there, or you start from scratch. You have no idea how to do this. Like, you've never sewn a day in your life. If you're going to pick up that sewing machine, you're going to figure it out. We're going to get there one way or the other.
Whole sewing machine? Holy crap.
The whole thing.
That's
I recommend a table,
with the Force.
perhaps a stool if you really are shorter workspace. No, but yeah, so like that's my take. I'm fine with it.
I really like that because it plays into what George like back in like 1977 or 78 said something like the Force is in everybody. Like anybody can use the Force if they set their mind to it. Basically, it was like a super motivational poster with like a cat on it. But like George Lucas wrote it. And you know, I'm never one to bash on things in Star Wars. I'm always the guy who kind of like tends to just try to put a positive spin on everything. Midichlorians, personally, I think they kind of go against what Yoda said about, you know, the Force being, we are luminous beings, not crude matter. And, you know, being able to measure the Force in crude matter, in like midichlorians in your blood, doesn't exactly line up with that. A lot of people hate in that away by saying like, oh no, midichlorians are only attracted to the Force in your body and it's the wills. And it's like, none of that stuff really jives. None of that stuff has been confirmed.
Just drying
it just
up.
Doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Look. Okay, so I only brought up the Sabine thing because it was like one of the best moments in the show of her like finding this ability, and it has been the culmination of her entire arc this entire time. Like as you guys have both said, like there was a lot of moments in which like Ahsoka says to her, you have it. It's just not going to be right there, and you need to train it, and it's all literally in your head. And I love how it amounted to something towards the end as well. I just really wish that she didn't try to help with the door in the moment because it just didn't make any sense. Like it literally Sabine, haul ass to the door on your howler there, and we'll focus on the door. Like obviously that doesn't flow off the tongue, but like it just didn't make sense to me that like in that moment, but then everything else panned out really well. And then she gets clocked in the head by like a blaster bolt like immediately, which is really funny. Helmet protector. So
but yeah, no,
anyway,
I mean, to kind of, I don't know if we're going to get back to Sabine's arc or if we're done with that, but I guess I'll just kind of mention
I don't know where we are. Go for it.
I love how it comes completely full circle. And it's like, I was telling AJ last night, it's like a Faustian bargain where Sabine, the entire thing, I've been obsessed with her decision in episode 4. If you haven't noticed, I haven't been able to stop talking about it in any podcast we've had so far. I keep coming back to that decision in episode 4. I think it's the most important thing in the show. And she makes that decision. It's wrong. It's selfish. It's a bad decision to make. And I think that's really important that it comes around to bite her in the butt. You know, she pays for it in exile. She pays for it by having to stay behind. And the very thing that she facilitates Thrawn's return to get Ezra back. But Thrawn's return is now the thing preventing her from being with Ezra. So I thought that was like incredibly like ironic and like very clever to kind of include her like feeling like Ezra is her only family. And then at the end of the series deciding, no, I'm going to stay behind and help Ahsoka. Again, paying for everything that she's done so far. She helped facilitate Thrawn's return. She might as well. I thought that was just like a really perfect way to end her arc, especially the whole like selfish bringing back Thrawn. Now she's selfless in staying behind in exile to save Ahsoka and letting go of Ezra. I thought that was incredibly powerful and just one of those things that, you know, Dave Filoni, this guy knows Star Wars. It seems like this guy knows Star Wars. I'm just saying. But yeah, no, that was like, I was buzzing about that all last night. I'm still buzzing about it today.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny. I mean, as I was saying to you, I was like, that didn't cross my mind once, which is, you know, that's how your brain operates and that's how my brain operates. But it is cool to think of it when you bring it up. And I did think it was an interesting move that like when that was all going down. I know we skipped over like the zombie trooper stuff, but
can we talk about the night troopers? You haven't died to talk about the night troopers, okay?
Well, all right. I guess we're talking about the heavy stuff, which is good. Like it's good to break down this stuff. But
I purposely wore my Cyberpunk Afterlife beanie today because there's zombies and it's Night Sister magic and it's
we'll get to the zombies.
Afterlife. Okay,
there was like
what AJ says.
There was thank you, Matt. There was like a moment where I was like, I thought it's just like Luke thinking about killing Ben Solo. It was like a brief moment of thinking, but like I thought Ahsoka could have died in this or gotten left behind by herself. Because I was like, oh shit, like she's by herself. It's that moment of
that's
like,
what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah, right. And it's like looking back, it's like, no, they're not going to kill off Ahsoka now.
Well, I didn't think they were going to kill her off, but I definitely thought they were going to leave her behind.
Yeah.
Which is why I think like Sabine's choice hit me so hard, specifically because it was like I expected one thing and I got something else that worked way better. And I was like, ooh,
yeah,
that's perfect. That's good.
There's also like a lot of seeds planted along the way of you guys are better together.
Yeah.
And like Sabine
That
knew
too.
that she like had to go back and help out Ahsoka and stay with her.
It was
so.
a good payoff.
That's perfect. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's great.
I guess Ahsoka would have had Hugh Yang also if she was stuck there, but
Yeah, but
She had all the noti. Just want to say that.
they still
They
do.
seem like good company. I just want to point that
They
out.
seem like dead weight. The
How
T6
dare
got
you.
messed up so quick.
Speaking of dead weight,
Oh,
Oh.
A plus
Nailed
segue.
it. Wow.
A plus.
Scoot
So-
on in with this.
all along it was like, are these guys zombies? We don't know what's going on with these night troopers. What's up? And then
No, but hold on.
yeah, no, but wait a minute.
but
Hold my
wait,
spots,
there's
guys.
more.
Wait 5 minutes, it'll change.
So that scene was awesome and
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
so well done, and just I don't know,
glowing
Night
eyes.
Sister magic is just so cool, and it's cool to see it in live
Yeah,
action
after-
in this show.
After a whole season of weird red ball zappy magic, and I don't know what the hell those things were. Still, they were cool though. That the Great Mothers were using. But like it was like, where's the green magic? And like the green fart smoke out of Marok was like not doing it for me. So it was nice
What
to
the
see
hell is
some
up
full
with him,
on.
by the way?
Oh yeah, I think of that as like that was Morgan like doing some like half baked like I found a couple pages of the Night Sister manual, but it's like someone spilled some
Frankenstein.
calf on it, so it's
That's what I was thinking
Just,
too.
like,
all
tried it
washed
out.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Hey, listen, he talks. All right, just cover
Yeah.
him in armor. Don't look at him. Don't smell him. We're good.
Because he's one big fart.
Yeah, he's just a big.
The whole
fart
guy's one
monster.
big fart.
We're sending parts out here.
I loved the I guess we'll call them zombie troopers now. The night zombie troopers. Their movement was great.
Yep.
They moved like it was a Michael Jackson Thriller video. They were
Perfect.
zombies.
I gotta say, they all got up really easily, which like for a regular person in stormtrooper armor, if you're laying on the ground, impossible. But
Especially
these
if
zombies,
you're cut with a lightsaber.
these
I guess
zombies
they're
are
not
able to
worried
just.
about- They're not worried about scratching the armor. Or
Great.
Or discomfort or anything.
help
They
me up,
just
help me
can't.
up.
I love the eyes glowing green.
That was very
Yeah,
cool.
that was really
For
cool
like a
touch.
split
Oh my
second.
God,
Yeah.
so spooky. I wish they
And then-
kept it the whole time.
We
I
even
know.
see back to Sabine being like almost choked out or whatever was going on there. Those were
Those
death
were
troopers, right?
Death troopers.
Death Knight
Literal
troopers.
death troopers. It was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
And they were
Oh,
like
and-
already zombies. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, they were fully
Yeah, those-
decayed.
And
Yeah.
we got to see their faces through that, so that was really cool.
Yeah, one was like half like cracked, and he
So-
looked like pretty bad.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So like, I don't know if they're zombies or not because like they didn't like get back up when they were fighting them in the Noti camp.
Those
but they
ones
didn't-
weren't.
for
Because
sure.
it's,
But
it's because like they activated like the magic like afterwards to help, and that's what it was. And so they had like normal guys just like out as their like troopers, like they still just had like troopers like ready to go. But like in this this is when they just enacted the full plan. Like Thrawn was literally like, all right, do it. This is the moment.
Well, I'm just confused because I'm like, okay, so these death troopers are fully decayed. So like,
Well, they've been zombies the whole time.
Well, maybe they like did some
Why are
tests
they-
earlier to like show
Maybe,
Thrawn. Because the Night
Well,
Mothers
'cause-
was like, all right, we have this thing that we can like do for you. Do you want to
mean,
like
all
see
the-
it in play? And like they made these guys zombies.
All
like,
the zombies
immediately.
we see come
Possible.
back from the dead, except for the death troopers. So we can just assume that the death troopers were zombies beforehand.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess.
Which
yeah.
also
They're
could
just like some-
probably play into Marok being something.
Yeah, maybe they're just like some weird like
Undead.
Night Mother.
But the
Like,
zombies
they
weren't
seem
bad
like-
parts.
they were like eat
No,
your
not
brains
really.
zombies.
They were
Marok was
zombies.
like talking and stuff, and like we had no idea he could have been like resurrected or anything at that.
He could
point,
fly a
so-
ship.
Yeah, that was some like I don't know bootleg magic that Morgan Elsbeth did. And so when the Night Mothers like inducted her finally, they were like, we're gonna ignore your little science project and we're just gonna like move on here.
Listen,
And so
stop
that's
with your
like, we don't know.
innovations.
I hope Dave Filoni knows we call, or most people call, Marek.
The fart in the wind.
Well, yeah, fart in the wind, a bag of farts, a man of
Dave
farts.
Filoni, if you're watching,
Fart boy.
And I know
you
you
are.
are.
The whole
What is
guys.
he? A Quarian?
Merrick is a bag of farts.
Yep. Merrick is a bag of farts.
What's the deal with Merrick? So where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? We kind of
Ezra gets on the ship. He didn't seem too disappointed that like they got left behind. He was like, all right.
He didn't
was
get
joking around. And
Well, he had to move quickly. Like that happened, and then he heard on the comms that the reinforcements were being dispatched, and so then he had to he could not help himself and had to be like, oh yeah, thanks for the copy, blah blah blah.
And then he's like, let me put on stormtrooper armor, like just like old times.
Yeah.
And then he had to peel the armor off this rotting flesh of this zombie guy and put it on himself, which must have been lovely, especially the helmet.
Yeah.
Can we get a Ezra reaction of just that? Just
he clearly had to cut his hair a little bit to fit all that in there.
Oh yeah.
Shin already cut some of it off for him, so
yeah, there you go.
Right? Like 2 strands.
Speaking of Baylan and Shin, big deal. They were huge in this episode. They played
seconds, but 2 huge seconds.
Yeah, 2 huge seconds.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So we see Baylan on top
do Shin's first, because
okay,
hers is 2 seconds.
So we see Shin riding out to the Marauders there, holding up her saber, so she's gonna lead them or something.
That was a very cool visual. I like that.
It is a cool visual, and I'm looking forward to seeing her lead them, I guess, because they're just a cool design, so I'm like a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
And then
and I just okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then we see Baylan finally. We're like, what is this guy up to? What is he doing? I kind of assumed it was going to be brought to us like this, like a little, like, not an end credit scene, but like it was in that style of him standing on a giant statue of
Argonath,
of the father. And then it zooms out and we see the father and the son, and the daughter is not in.
The daughter is chipped away.
Non-existent.
Yeah. But we do see Mirai later with Ahsoka flying away.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. So there's a lot going on. He's looking out at what looks like Mount Doom, but not fiery. Yep. But it's interesting because I totally forgot what the castle on Mortis looked like. And like it looks like what he was looking at with the beam coming up and everything. So I'm like, oh shit. Huh. So
I didn't know that either.
I don't know if like this castle is this planet like Mortis somehow is the castle. Like it's very confusing. We could probably do like an episode on it fully anyways, like what he's doing, but I don't know. And it's a goddamn shame that Ray Stevenson
I agree.
Like it's people talk about like, oh, are they gonna recast him? I think that's kind of inappropriate to talk about yet. Obviously it begs the question, like they have to do something with this arc, but like Ray Stevenson was just so good in this role. I don't want to see anyone else do it because he was so good at it, but like
I know. But you can't.
But I do want to see someone else do it if they're going to make more stuff with Baylan.
And I like Baylan's character.
Baylan and Shin were so cool, and like, god damn it, like I can't just have their entire thing just being standing around looking all cool and just like staring off into the distance, and then occasionally doing some nice fights. Like that can't be all that we get from them. And
they're not.
I don't know what happened in the last 20 years, but I don't know if it was like Heath Ledger or what. I'd have to really deep dive, but something happened and suddenly recasting became like a faux pas, and like that used to be like an honorable thing to do for an actor who had passed away. It was to be like, hey, I'm going to carry this torch because like this character, this actor was so prolific. I'd like to keep that going in honor of them. Like
like Dumbledore
Chadwick's family was like, please.
Yeah, Dumbledore was one. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and like they weren't going to just not have Dumbledore just because there was a really great actor playing him.
We're just going to have to do the rest of the movies without Dumbledore, guys. Or he's behind the curtain.
And then like, and so like, I don't know what happened, but for some reason it's become like this thing where it's like, oh no, they shouldn't. Like, why not? I want to see more of this character that this actor worked hard to make so prolific. And I think someone else might have a shot of doing that too.
I'm 100% with you.
I think that they'd be able to make it work with the new actor.
Absolutely.
With whatever the next part of the story is.
They would. It would be tough. I mean, it's not like
it's gonna be hard. Yeah.
They can make it work.
Baylan, Ray was so good at it, but like Baylan wasn't in a lot. It's not like recasting like Carrie Fisher for Rise of Skywalker or something. If you know what I mean, if they had to do that, like it's not quite to that level, but it's like it still sucks.
Yeah,
and I'm
like,
trying to think of like,
I'll even say to that, like as a counterpoint to my own self, like that would have been tough if they tried to recast Carrie for episode 9. Like I don't know how I would have felt about that, even if it gave Carrie or Leia more screen time.
Yeah,
that would
maybe
have been tough.
But that
was
Carrie
a different
Fisher
situation
has played
entirely.
Leia for 50 years, or
that's
like,
what I mean.
had
Yeah,
played Leia for 50 years at that point, or 40 years. So I think that's a little different.
Exactly.
I'm not
That's the
saying
point,
you
yeah.
know Ray Stevenson has
totally
not
different
become
situation.
absolutely
and she had filmed
iconic
parts.
as Balin anyway, because he's absolutely iconic as Balin. But he's only you know, this is his first and only appearance as Balin, and Balin's only appearance. So I think it is different, and I think this is more appropriate to do than would be with Carrie and Leia. But again, as AJ's right, as AJ said, you know, it's a little inappropriate to be talking this much about recasting him and all that.
Yeah,
I mean,
just talking about like it really
just the character. I want to see where the character goes.
Really fucking sucks, and I feel awful.
Yeah.
That I remember when that news hit. That was like a complete gut punch, because at the time I already knew that he'd played Balin, like a lot of people did, and I was hyped for him, and it was like, oh my god, like this. It's just like
you didn't even get to see.
Where the hell did that even come from?
You didn't get to see
it just came out of nowhere.
And then to see how great he was as Balin,
that was.
And then it was like
he doesn't get to enjoy the flowers, you know.
Yeah,
he deserves it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a damn shame, because
it's also just like, not to pile it on, but it's also absolutely gutting seeing the rest of the cast like want to like share it with them, like seeing Ivana, the girl who is Shin, like talk about that is just like, and we haven't even seen like that much of it yet either, because of, you know, the current state as of recording this
right
of talking about the shows, but like they've like actors have shared like a handful of like behind the scenes when they can, but it's just like, oh my god. But yeah, speaking of to change the subject, speaking of the actors, I love how they gave Diana Lee Inosanto a sword to do a fight with. I love how they gave her a sword.
Very proud. I'm happy she got her sword fight in.
So good.
She was great.
That was a fantastic fight of Morgan Elsbeth and Ahsoka.
It was.
Absolutely.
I thought she was. I mean, I thought she was going to best Ahsoka finally, because they've had a few matches.
One of her blades.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Which she kept.
Yeah,
I think she's going to try to fix it, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But still, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, she tossed it in the water the first time, but this time, and that was the other one. That was a smaller one.
Like, listen, stop trying to scrap with me.
Yeah, she just about gets the upper hand, and then Ahsoka's like, nah.
No.
Like both times. I feel bad for Morgan. She tries her ass off. She just can't do it.
I love that. That actually reminds me, because I didn't want to miss it. The fact that Thrawn's like for the Empire, and she's like, and like, you know, like that coupled with the fact that when Thrawn decided to bombard the Peridian the Peridian Night Sister Temple,
they were pissed.
They were like,
They're like, this wasn't part of the deal.
Excuse me.
Well, what are you doing?
Excuse me. And
which
so like
has everybody thinking about like the Nogri in the original Thrawn trilogy, and it's like, could these Night Sisters be that?
Oh yeah,
they'll be the Rook in this equation.
The Rook, yeah.
Well,
for anybody who doesn't know, quickest summary I can possibly give: Thrawn in the original Thrawn trilogy has Nogri working for him, and they only agreed to work for him because the Empire is protecting their planet, or like cleaning it up after like a disaster that happened during the Republic era, and then it turns out that actually Thrawn has been poisoning the planet the whole time so that they'll keep working for him. And Rook, who is his first in command, gets pissed, and spoiler alert,
kills him at the last second.
And
so I think that's great, because that seed is planted that the Night Sisters, the witches are like, hey, like what the hell, like that was very disrespectful. They're going to Dathomir, which maybe he'll do more disrespectful stuff. And also Thrawn says, and I thought of this at the time, he said, I won't be bested by a Jedi again. He says something along those lines. And maybe he's right. He won't be bested by a Jedi again, but maybe he'll be. But we know in the original Thrawn trilogy, he was bested by his own kind of people. So
yeah, you should look up some HoloNet archives on Dooku, because it really doesn't work out when you piss off Night Sisters, Great Mothers especially.
Very true.
Dude, that dude was covered in sores. That is like the most uncomfortable I've ever been in a Star Wars like episode is when they make him like sick and he's like coming out with like all these like pimples and bubbles on his face, and I'm like, ugh,
Yeah,
gross. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of that.
It's
The
a
Halloween
loose
episode.
alliance for sure.
They're gonna
between
blow
and the Night
Thrawn up like a
Mothers.
fucking blueberry. That's what's gonna happen, guys. That's what's gonna happen.
And they're gonna push him
He's
around
gonna-
like Willy
He's
Wonka.
literally gonna be Violet Beauregard, and he's gonna blow up like a fucking blueberry.
Oh my god.
Are they gonna
That's
sing
what's
a
gonna
Oompa Loompa
happen.
song?
Yes, the Noti are gonna come out and sing a song, and they're gonna roll him away, and that's gonna be it.
That's how they'll tie him in.
Wow.
That's it.
Okay.
Then Kanan's Force Ghost comes back, and it's literally just Freddie Prinze Jr. He's like, "You lose. Good day, sir."
Good day, sir. There you go.
Wow.
This is it.
Anakin taught
Sorry,
me that
guys.
just for this. Fuck you.
Should have marked that as a spoiler alert as well, because I think we nailed it,
Kanan would be a
guys.
spite Force Ghost. Can I just say?
He comes on, he does like the Freddie Prinze Jr. rant that he did on that one podcast.
Oh my
It's
god.
Kanan
yeah,
just
yeah.
saying the F
Balance
word like
between
20,000
Jedis and shit.
times.
Fucking great Jedi's, get out of here. Balin Skull, eat your heart out. Shut the fuck up.
Perfect.
All right. Rain
So there's a couple of tie-up things at the end of the episode. We'll tie up and then also like question
One
marks.
big thing, one humongous thing. That
Well,
I think is...
I don't know what you're talking about, but the thing I've been complaining to you about, and a lot of people have, this is an actual complaint I have, and it's very minor for the whole thing. But Ezra gets back to, I think it's home. I think it's home one,
Sorry, I just figured it out.
Yeah, I think it is.
and he wanders off the ship, which I think's awesome that the show ended as it started with the same ship that Balin and Shin take and wipe out that whole New Republic cruiser. It's kind of the same kind of shot. It boards, it lands. All the New Republic people are waiting, Hera included, and a stormtrooper comes off. We know it's Ezra.
Yeah,
Which I
and
think
let me just say, perfect entrance for
That was perfect.
Ezra.
Yes.
Like I was
yes.
saying yesterday, like because you were comparing the two, and I was like, instead of like this cloaked Jedi like leaving the ship, it's just like Ezra like stumbling off the friggin' ramp
Just a
with
guy.
like in a stormtrooper outfit, and it's like that's so Ezra. That's so Ezra.
It is,
That's what
yeah.
the name of the show should be. Instead of
That's so
of
Ezra.
Ahsoka, it's
Ezra.
That's so Ezra.
Well,
So
this is a Disney Channel original.
Yep.
Ezra says like, "Hey, Hera, I'm home," and Hera is like stunned, obviously, but she's like, "Ezra,
Laugh track
like,
plays.
is that you?" And then if it ended there, that would have been perfect. But it shows them. It's a cool shot, honestly, but it shows them on both sides, and it shows the ghost in the background. And then Ezra starts to walk towards Hera, and then it does the
And then it
stupid
cuts.
wipe. And it's like
Why
the
did
way.
they show them hug?
they should have
Okay.
just
I don't-
ended with the dialogue of Ezra or like, "I'm home."
Funny-
Yeah, and
That's
then
it.
no movement.
No
they were
movement.
Funny
literally like
story.
arm's length apart.
Bad editing.
Funny
I
story.
didn't, that's not even.
How
So
funny.
we watched the episode yesterday, and the credits are rolling, and I turn on the lights and I say, what'd you think? As you guys hate that I do, but I always do it.
Hey, what'd you think?
And my dad was like, "Oh, that was great," and Zach was like, "Oh, that was great," and my mom was like, "Oh, I absolutely loved it." And then she goes, "But I mean, why didn't they have like Ezra and Hera hug? Because like she's like his mom. She
Yeah.
should have hugged him." And my dad was like, "Oh, whatever. Like that's a silly complaint." And then I looked down at my phone after you texted me and you said, "But I wish Ezra and Hera hugged." And I said, "No,
Well, do you know-
friggin' way."
Do you know
was
how,
like,
you know how
"Oh
many
my
people on the
God."
internet, and the internet's dumb, but a lot my friends that I know, people, good people, have been saying that why didn't that happen? So like, I have
I-
other people I respect saying the same thing.
I
Look,
didn't
it's a
even
big
notice
thing.
it at the moment, but sure. I mean, fine.
Well, it's
I would
not
like
even.
to see
It's
them
not
hug.
even the. It's like we were just saying. It's not even the fact they didn't hug. I mean, whatever. But if
You
it
have-
ended, it was the way they edited it, like with him walking towards her, and then they cut.
You
They
have
should have just. It was
They
weird.
teased it. It was a tease. That's
Yeah,
why.
it was.
Like-
It was odd.
there's Chopper toddling up, and he's like, "Oh,
Like a
oh,
dog.
I know this son of a bitch," and he's like excited, so excited, and Ezra like pats him, so like Chopper gets his hug, and then like Hera doesn't. It's just sure it's been like 10
Kinda,
years, and it's a
yeah.
little weird, but like, come on.
I don't think it's that weird. I don't think it's that weird. I think an Ezra and Hera hug would be more than acceptable. And that'd be
I
great.
honestly thought that is not where I thought this was going. I thought you guys were going to talk about the fact that he insisted on walking out to a bunch of fully armed Republic
Oh,
soldiers in
as a
fucking
stormtrooper.
Dressed-
stormtrooper armor.
yeah,
That's because he's
Because listen,
dumb.
No,
He's
no,
a
no,
Dumbo.
no, no, no. Hear me
Jack,
out. Hear me out.
That's
Hear
so
me out.
Ezra.
No.
Been over
Hear me
this.
out.
Okay.
Do you know how long it takes to go from Dathomir to wherever the fuck they are. I don't either. But I'll tell you, it's more time than I want to spend in stormtrooper armor in a freaking pilot seat. So I don't know why after he got on there and left, his first move wasn't to get that shit off, because good Lord, doing all that for a bit, that is commitment on a level I have never seen before. And I respect it, but I do not agree.
My headcanon is that
I have a headcanon too.
He gets the ship, he flies, they're at Dathomir, he flies off the Chimera, and he's like, set a course for home 1, and he types it in. Don't know how he did that, but he did.
He asked around.
He launches into hyperspace, and then he's sitting there, and he just fell asleep. And then he woke up as he landed. And then
have you ever worn armor?
Where am I?
Like, have you ever worn a full set?
He fell asleep. He's a tired boy. It's been a long day. Ezra had a long day. He's tired.
I know a Darth Vader cosplay who falls asleep standing up, but that's
Sleepy
because
guy.
you don't feel any of it when you're standing up in it.
That's true.
There's no way in hell you'd catch me falling asleep in this, even in a sitting position.
Well, Din Djarin has to do it every day, Jack.
He goes to sleep in the armor. I don't get it.
There you go.
The
So
actual
it's
headcanon
proven that he can do it.
is on the way over. He communicated with Kanan and was like, "Oh, you should stay in the armor. That'll be a good
That'll
one.
be funny.
It'll be funny.
Kara's gonna love it. You should totally.
You'll
do
really
that.
get them."
That's perfect. That's perfect.
She's got.
This
I
is
want to
an
see your
excited
face. Hold on. Let me get over there. I want to see your face.
God, they're so dumb. Yeah,
nice
that's
lightsaber.
that's
nice
it.
lightsaber.
That's the headcanon. That's exactly what happened.
All right,
That-
I'll live
that's
with
it.
that.
I miss Zeb.
Okay. So what
gonna be
else?
so-
What
oh,
else
no
important happened?
Zeb!
Shit, yeah.
No,
No
Zeb.
Zeb.
Oh,
Forget the hug. Where's Zeb?
why did we waste
For our
time
listeners,
making a
Jack just made the
CGI
best
model?
face I've ever seen him make. Just want to point that out for our listeners. Jack made
Hey,
the best face
yeah.
I've ever seen him make.
He looked like
That's
Zeb.
a lot of money on a CGI model of Zeb to not use him in the actual show where he would have been most relevant.
Why couldn't they have at least put him like in the last scene there? Hell,
Hey, they
I
talked
would have
about him.
taken
They
like
mentioned him.
I feel like a Zeb
That's not good
and
enough.
Ezra hug would have
Sorry.
happened over a Hera and Ezra hug first. Because
Where's
like even though
Callus?
like
Where's Callus is right. Where the
Callus
hell is he?
Listen, if we couldn't even get Zeb,
You're right.
Callus is so far down the list.
Yeah, sure.
Ah,
He is his husband though.
he better be in season 2 or something. I don't know. Whatever
Oh,
the
he
hell's
will.
happening.
We
Whatever's
got
next in this
friggin'
Avengers
Ryder,
style.
We got
Ryder
um,
Zadi. And,
What's his face?
What's his name?
Ryder
Nancy
Zadi.
Brown.
Oh
Ah,
my God! What's
Nancy
the other
Brown.
guy's name? No,
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 the other
no,
guy.
no. The
Oh,
the senator.
Mort.
Nope.
No, that's-
No.
You're thinking of
What the
Mart
fuck is his
Matten,
name?
Mart
Mart.
Madden.
but it's not Mart Matten. It was
Yeah,
the other.
stupid
It was
name.
one of the two Imperials, whose names are escaping me
One of
currently.
the kids.
Yeah, one of the kids,
Anyways, we got them
Yeah.
and not.
who's played by
Not,
Dante Bosco
Callus.
in the show. Yeah, but not Callus. That's pretty funny.
What was the
Um,
other thing you had to say, AJ? There was one other thing, wasn't there?
There's one other big thing that happened at the end of this show, and it's
Oh, Ghost
kind of-
Anakin.
yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say
yeah.
it's kind of
Which was
very
cool.
on brand for you guys to be like not talking about it, but no,
I didn't forget it.
yeah.
It was really cool.
I forgot it.
I
I
forgot a
loved
little
it.
bit. But I should not.
This is our first time
Yes, I
seeing
love
him as an honest to God Force ghost since Return of the Jedi. Seeing him, we've had him appear as a Force ghost in Shadow of the Sith to Luke.
Is that big of a deal though?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
think
like
it
where
is.
No,
was
but
he
I
doing
mean,
the
like-
sequel trilogy?
But you say like
I asked that so much.
it's the first time we've seen it since. I mean, it's not like we see like first time we saw Ghost Yoda again was the first time since like 1983. So
We
like,
saw
yeah, that was
Ghost
a
Yoda
huge
in
deal,
The
too.
Last
well, it was,
Jedi.
but like that's a longer gap. It's only been
Yeah, I mean, technically, it's only been
hasn't
like
been that long.
15 to 20 years since we saw Hayden as Force
Yeah.
Ghost Anakin.
And Qui-Gon, it's been even longer. That gap was even longer.
I know
I mean,
the
they-
answer is because Hayden wasn't available, or they didn't think about him and hire him at the time. But
Yeah, I'm like it's shitting your pants worthy because like it's all the buzz around Hayden right now. That's why.
which
It's
is
just
good.
fr-
I love.
I
the
was
Hayden
I was frustrated
Renaissance.
that he wasn't more involved since The Force Awakens. I was like, you're gonna literally. Why is his freaking melted helmet getting more screen time than the man he's actually professing?
His voice
love
is in
to?
Rise of Skywalker. But
Sure.
yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
That's
agree.
not good enough. That's not good enough.
That was the kickoff.
I agree. The wounds had.
I would have
healed
liked to see
fully.
him.
I really
But
would have just. I
AJ's
would.
right.
I will pay so much money for Hayden to just shoot a thing with Adam Driver where he just like yells at him for all the things he got wrong about his whole vibe and everything.
See,
an
but
SNL
I've seen
skit.
people
He
talk
could not
about.
have misunderstood me more.
I've seen people talking online that this could confirm that you need to really have known the person in life to see their Force ghost, because Ahsoka is seeing Anakin. Sabine is not seeing Anakin.
Hey.
She's a noob. I don't know. That's not how I took it. I'm not saying
I like that.
Like, that's an interpretation. I can
Could
see
be an
that.
interpretation.
For me, my interpretation is that she's just not as attuned yet. Like, she just barely learned how to do a force push.
I have a whole.
She felt him. She
yeah,
felt him.
she could feel it. It's kind of like, okay, bear with me. It's kind of like,
it.
at the end of the Return of the Jedi, when like Luke sees everybody. Like, I think that Leia can tell that something is there.
Yeah,
but she can't see them. And Han's just like, hey, he doesn't see anything.
Like,
it makes complete sense. So I like that. Yeah, I feel like that makes a lot of sense. I always thought it was more so like the Force ghosts decide who can see them because they're just peaky ghosts. But
yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, because Sabine could definitely not see. She felt it, but she was like,
she detected, which was to me like a perception check that she just rolled. She just had a higher limit to she had to roll to in order to be able to see him. She's like, oh, I can kind of feel something there, but I don't really know what the hell's there, whereas Ahsoka rolls nat 20 and she's like, what's up, Sky Guy?
She knows.
It seems more in line with the Force itself. I have a bad feeling about this, you're kind of, I don't know, are you looking into the future? Who knows what the hell that's about? Are droids Force sensitive? Because 3PO said it once.
I've always wondered if dark side users can even see Force ghosts.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Good question.
That's a question.
So
they can only attune
for another
into
day.
an artifact.
This show and Dave Filoni and there's so many. I mean, the other shows have been not about Jedi really. We got Mando, we got Book of Boba Fett, we got Andor.
Right.
So it's this was such a big Force thing, and we only know so much about the Force. All these questions we're asking, we don't know a lot, and maybe we don't want to know a lot. Having it be ambiguous is kind of what makes it cool.
It's always fun.
Yeah. So I don't know where Filoni plans to go next with all these Force things. It's cool to see the limits push with the Force, kind of what Rian Johnson has done, what Filoni has done. Mortis is coming, maybe. I don't know what's going on with that.
There's two things I expected from this show, or hoped for the show, or I expected one thing and I hoped for another. I expected it to just be one step in a grand journey that will be more satisfying once I have the whole picture. And that I know to be the case in the future, but it's just not. It's kind of like Empire, where it's dang it, I just really want to watch the next part, but at the same time, I don't feel there was enough here. It didn't feel like it stood on its own very well as a story. It needed so much of Rebels to catch you up and to keep you going, to attach to these characters, and it's so focused on what's coming next that I just wish it stood more on its own as a story. But I accept that it's part of a grander narrative, and again, I'll be fine with it once I have everything in order and I know what it's all heading to. The other thing was that I was hoping it would bring more mysticism back to the Force and to Star Wars, and to just make things a little more mysterious again. And I think that was absolutely achieved, because Sabine becoming a Force user has definitely called things into question, and it's brought more debate back into it in a fun way, I hope. I think it's been an interesting series.
My one prediction for this show that didn't really come true was that I always thought that Ahsoka was going to be struggling with her, she is struggling with her identity as a Jedi. But I thought this was going to be her return to being I'm a Jedi, but that never really happens. Ahsoka the White is more her embracing her destiny and her master than it is embracing her Jedidom. I don't know. Maybe I did get what I wanted, but not exactly how I thought I'd get it. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with that. I will say that I thought and feel still that this show was going to tie very much into the themes of The Last Jedi. This show is very thematically resonant with The Last Jedi. And just as Jack said, it introduces mysticism in the Force very much like The Last Jedi did. And it explores what it means to be a Jedi and what it means to be somebody, just like The Last Jedi did. So in that regard, no notes. I loved it. I was very happy with it.
No notes.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. And then I also agree, just there for the way that the show was set up, you really needed to do your homework in order to understand the depth of it.
I spent 3 months showing my dad Rebels over the summer just so we could watch the show. And he was eternally grateful that I did, because he was I don't think I would have enjoyed that without it. And I was like,
yeah, it's I wish that it was a little bit easier at the surface level for like a more casual fan. But this is also like another door that's opening of, hey, we're about to get like really in depth with the stuff moving forward. And so just like get prepared for that by just like reopening the whole thing with Mortis, which is an arc that I always found very confusing.
I'm not like a huge fan of Mortis.
Every time I rewatch it, I have a different thought.
I accept it.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah, it's just a lot. So that'll be something. But yeah, I loved the show, and I loved Ezra Bridger, period, which is a sentence I never thought I would say in my entire life. But here I am. So thank you, this show, for giving me that new character to absolutely love. So,
yeah.
All
right. Quick round the table exercise.
Ooh.
Who wants to go first? You don't know what the question is, but who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, and then it can go Jack, Jamie, then me, I guess. In that clockwise on our thing here. What's your favorite Star Wars show? Okay. Jack, what's your favorite Star Wars show?
Oh boy.
I feel like this for Jack, this can be a lot of things.
Live action or animated?
Yeah.
Ooh,
that's a good call.
You didn't specify because I'd say Rebels if it was animated.
Live action.
Okay.
Live action.
Disney Plus era of live.
Well, that's all of them, sir.
Well,
Underground doesn't count.
For our listeners, Jack just made the second best face I've ever seen him make in my entire life. He's just on fire with the faces tonight.
Dishing them out today. I would have to say probably Andor, only because season 3 and a little bit of season 2 of Mando have been a little bit rougher than what was originally promised in season 1, and like. I like how things have expanded, but there are things about each season that have just kind of diminished my love of the show already. So
let me rephrase the question. That's a good answer, obviously.
Besides Andor,
what's your favorite season of a Star Wars show? Maybe.
Okay,
that's a more fair
season
question.
1 Mando probably. Yeah, that was an exciting time, man.
That's on brand for you. Makes sense. As Din Djarin's looking over your shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah, if I didn't, he was gonna beat me up once I leave.
Yeah. It's like Night at the Museum, but like Night at Jack's house. All the costumes come to life.
Oh
God. Jamie, what do you got for your favorite live action season of something?
Andor. Easily. Hands down, it's Andor.
Yeah, if we're talking whole shows, Andor, easy peas. Because I'm sure even season 2.
I would still say even full season individually, just Andor. So
either way, Andor. That's good. Mm-hmm. So I hate comparing things, but I think in our bubble here of our conversations, it's healthy. But sometimes people compare things. Like they use things to trash other things.
Exactly.
Like,
you don't want to. We don't want to do that. We don't.
There's the Andor bros out there that are like everything should be like Andor, and it's like, come on, like Ahsoka was the very like it felt like a Star Wars film. It felt like a Skywalker saga film. It felt like I hate this term. Felt like Star Wars because that can be in anything, but.
When you add a Jedi as your main character, it makes things completely different.
It helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
So, Matt knows me as a massive Andor fan. I always talk about Andor as my favorite show. But go ahead. What?
I was thinking about budgets recently, and like I'm starting to realize I really wish that. Don't worry. Like, this is
personal budgets or film budgets.
We don't want to talk about personal budgets. Film budgets. I just want to throw some comparisons over because I didn't really have the hard numbers until I had a disagreement with a friend over some things about the quality of the various Disney Plus shows. Andor budget of $250 million. Kenobi $60 million.
Yeah, nothing.
So like, or maybe 90.
And it's why Kenobi looks like it was made on a very low budget because it was.
Yeah, and so that's the frustrating part is like. It takes a huge budget to create something as good as Andor. Like it's not just about the writing; it's also about the sets. It's also about like all the costumes and everything else that you're using. And while the costumes are great and Ahsoka, I think the sets are pretty lacking in certain places. A lot of it's like here's a really cool thing, and then there's a barren landscape behind it.
Yeah,
and so that can be like I said, I am not fooled. Peridia is just Southern California with a lower like a desaturation filter, and I'm not here for it because that's not what I was hoping for when you told me there was a planet in a different galaxy. And like the more I think about it, I'm just like, this is so drab and gross, and I'm like, this is not
very true,
not hidden. And like Andor had just like all these cool sets, all these cool planets, all these cool areas. I think we need to stop doing these stupid TV show things and just go back to making movies.
I'm glad you bring that up because I really agree with that.
Me too.
And by the way, my favorite.
Stop
show
naming
is
them after the
Ahsoka.
characters.
I don't know if Jack picked up on anything. But...
What's your favorite Star Wars show? Disney Plus show?
So Andor,
Sorry.
I love Andor, and like it's probably the best show. I hate to use like the best, but the tiebreaker for me is the era we're in here. Even though we said to Jack or Jack said earlier, like it's the prequel type thing. We know where this is gonna go, pretty much. Not exactly, but pretty much. Like this New Republic era interests me more than the Imperial era. So the tiebreaker goes to Ahsoka, favorite Star Wars show. But Andor is just, I love Andor. So
gotta hit him with the.
Was a roundabout way. That's almost like the Kevin James, but Ahsoka. But Jack, as you were saying, I'm glad you brought up movies. Because there's this like cheesiness as we're staring at Ahsoka's sticker thing that Matt has.
I gotta put this on a poster board.
We're a bit over time here, but it's the finale. It's the finale.
Continue.
The movies thing, it's like I do miss Star Wars movies. They just look so much better. There's more love put into them.
Yep.
It's less commitment on the viewer, just a couple hours of your day.
Did I say they look better?
Yes.
You said they look better.
They also look better.
You can tell a better story in a show. Sometimes, not always. You just have more time to do it. It's tough.
You
but movies,
but it's not always properly done.
Yeah, true.
Planets
Kenobi.
like Kajimi, Naboo, hell, even Coruscant. Like I'm still sick of seeing it, but damn it, it looks so good. Like it's far more interesting than what we're seeing. Or like
Kajimi.
Kif Bur, like that also looks like that's a really cool landscape. Whatever the planet they were on in Andor that was using like like the Highlands of Scotland, like that was amazing. That was really cool. Yeah, thank you, Aldani. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like
good times.
A planet, a Star Wars planet should feel otherworldly. Like even Tatooine used like Tunisia to such a like an extremely well. It was very well executed, and I'm sick of Southern California.
Yeah.
Tython being in Filoni's backyard, and now
That was
Peridia.
tough.
I still think Peridia is.
I'd love to know
Space Scotland.
I think Peridia looked pretty good. But
I'd love to
Peridia
know where
looked
that was
alright.
shot.
Looked better.
Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it just didn't feel like anywhere otherworldly. It just felt like
I don't know if Ahsoka was shot on location.
I liked
anywhere.
shot on
Peridia,
location. It's,
but it was
right
the
on
fact
Peridia.
it was in Peridia. The fact
know
it was
what I mean.
supposed to be a different galaxy and it looked like any other planet.
Yeah,
That's why I'm just like,
a little
Yeah.
bit like
what are we
okay.
doing?
Like
But
they,
They
captured
like,
they captured a
broken
feeling right
terrain,
though.
like
It felt new.
Pandora is a more interesting planet than Peridia, and I freaking
but
hate
Pandora-
Avatar. Most
You
of the
hate
time.
Avatar?
I don't hate it, but like,
boy.
it's nothing to me most of the time.
That's another.
But
That's
like
another.
that planet is so
No.
much cooler.
But like the planet is the whole point. Like literally the entire the whole franchise was made around
whole movie's
the
one
I'm
planet.
just saying, if you're gonna tell me a
Yes.
planet is in another galaxy, you should work
Yes.
a little harder on the art design.
Yeah,
I agree,
don't
Jack.
know.
I am somewhere in the middle of I really like Peridia and how it looks, and yeah, it should have been a little wilder. But dude, a ring
I
made
like
of space
the
whale skeletons is cool enough for me.
And
I
Mortis.
like the idea of it.
Oh, the
There you
idea is
go.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Well,
great
that
till
was
they
a
brought up
half-
the atmosphere.
perceived reference there.
I understood.
Okay, thanks, guys.
I understood that reference.
Anything else about the Ahsoka series, Ahsoka season 1, that we want to cover before we put this to bed for the time being?
No,
Just wanna hit 'em
I
with
get
this
9 out of
scale one
10.
more time. Yeah,
I'm
9
not
out of
doing
10,
number
I'll say.
rankings.
I wish she'd used her back sabers more. Like I wish she'd used them
Optional
back candy
rankings.
style. There's too much of this front-facing lightsaber work. Like I was really hoping she was going to be more backhandy. Anyway,
Maybe I do like Andor better. No, I'm just kidding. And
Well, this has been the HoloNet Marauders recap of Ahsoka season 1. All of these episodes have been released a little late after the shows have actually came out fully. You can find everything on social media for HoloNet Marauders at HoloNet Marauders. We're that on all the social media networks of whichever is out there at this current moment in time. We'll be doing coverage of whatever show happens next we're not even sure at this point, but we'll still stick around, and we'll see you guys next time on the HoloNet Marauders podcast.